Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is James Ramos from At the Quarter Pole, and here is my 2020 on the Whitney Stakes and what I saw of the race. And Sierra Leone is back in the talk about being one of the top contenders for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Showed a marked improvement at the Stephen Foster coming second to Mind Frame. He put it all together and won convincingly in the Whitney Stakes. But there's a lot of questions answered has to be resolved. Does this horse only run every third start big? And what I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen, when he won the Breeders' Cup Classic, he came back off a layoff, showed third in his first race off a layoff. Granted, she was a layoff second in the Stephen Foster, but he wins the Whitney Stakes every third start. So that's the thing that you have to look at going into the Breeders' Cup Classic. Are they going to give him two races so he forms cycles into that third time to win the race? I'm not sure. He did look good that day. He beat my horse, so I thought Mindframe would win, only to the case he was the horse of the course. He had no excuses in the race. He was third behind the cheap speed out in front, Mama's Gold. And Conspiracy Theorist, that was the other Chad Brown horse. They inject speed, but the fractions were not that fast. The fractions at was 23 and 4, 47 and 1. And at the tail end of the race, he ran in 140 and 4 fifths, which is a very good fast time. Now, there was also the thing with Sierra Leone that he was on the bias. What I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen, I was watching the races all day from that morning, and the track was way tighter and drier. As the races went on later in the day, that you could see more moisture in the track. You could see the horses getting that mud in or their dirt, heavy dirt on their chest, saying the track then changed it became a bias toward closers. And he was not the only horse that won from off of it. Another two horses that ran out of the test stakes, the race for Kilwan and Ragtime came out of the blue, coming off the pace. And it was also in the main special weight race with the number 4 horse. I didn't know his name, but he came way out of it, and the main special weight over 8.5 lengths at the quarter. So there was definitely a bias toward the closers. You got to mark that in your notes toward the Breeders' Cup Classic. But nothing taken away from Sierra Leone. He finally put it all together. He's back in the talk about the Breeders' Cup Classic. I'm still going to fade him for the Breeders' Cup Classic for the win. Oh, say exact. I think he's just going to be coming way out of it in the Breeders' Cup Classic. There's other good horses being closers, and the number 2 horses I'm going to bring up is going to be 2, Journalism and Sovereignty. Now, Sovereignty is not a big closer that comes way out of it like Sierra Leone. He proved that in the Jim Daniels Stakes. When he broke out of the gate, he was on the front end. He was on the lead. He outbroke Moplex and Bieza, showing this horse is more than handy than coming way out of it. So he might be a mid-pack horse. It's going to be better suited for the horse. So he's not picking up all these dead horses coming around for the home stretch. Journalism shows that same thing, that he could come mid-pack, not that far as a deep closer like Sierra Leone, better suited for the win or the exacta bets. But again, I'll repeat, right now, if everything's set to go, Forever Young will be my pick. And a lot of people say, well, does he have something to prove? And my point now, since he won the Saudi Cup back in late September, that he has, late February when he won Saudi Cup at $12 million race, that yes, he has something to prove now because he faded and didn't do well in the Dubai World Cup. So there's a certain amount of pride the Japanese instill in their culture that's going to bring this horse going into the Breeders' Cup Classic looking for some revenge and payback. So Forever Young right now, with 3 months to go, is still my pick over Sovereignty, Journalism, and Exacta is what I like right now, using Forever Young first and second. Other notes for the racing day, a race that I didn't mention in my last 2 videos that you have to be careful with, that a sneaky good race would be Scylla in the Homecoming Mystics that was run about over a month ago. I didn't mention that in my previous videos, but the reason why Scylla makes a lot of sense going into the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint is he caught the inside on the wet track trying to make his move. He was better off suited to swing out and lose ground, but it was a better part of the track. As you remember, ladies and gentlemen, track gets wet and get moisture with rain, snow, whatever it is, mostly rain, that the rain will and the moisture will go from the outside of the track going to the rail. And if you see that honorable miss race, he was coming through the inside. Jockey tried to swing him out 3 for a while. It was already way too late. Ortiz already made his winning move on the horse that won that race. Other horses you got to watch out for is Copion. I saw him running the Clement Out Hirsch. And he was struggling with that with the race. He ran a credible second, closing into the winner, I'm not sure if this horse wants to go a mile and 1/8 against Torpedo Anna. So something you have to watch for. He will be the home advantage horse in Del Mar, where Richard Mandel doesn't have to travel this horse out, but he might only be second or third best against Torpedo Anna. I just right now still don't see any contender that could beat Torpedo Anna in this division right now. Copium might run a good race, but I think Copium's a better as a late closing sprinter, 7/8 to 6/8 to maybe in a mile. But unfortunately, that's going to be short on a list of races that feel like that for either you're a sprinter or a closer. And most races, like I see a lot more tweaker horses. When I mean by they tweak, they go from 6 to 8 furlongs, and that's all they can run. That's where they show their best performances from 6/8 of a mile to 8 furlongs. So Copion is still as a throwout right now against Torpedo Anna for the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Also, horses that you got to watch out for is a 2-year-old Ewing out of Knicks Go. He just won yesterday at Saratoga, beaten obligatory, and he looked quite impressive. He didn't break sharp. He rushed to the front end. I'm sure he thought he was going to tire out, which he did, but he still won the race. Between Ewing and Byrne is going to be a much anticipated race right now. Brandt was the horse that won the main special weight that was worth $3 million. And right now, I still believe that Brandt will be the Breeders' Cup Juno favorite if he runs, only because he's got the home field advantage. I'm looking at the horse to be around 8-5. And Ewing right now will be right behind him at 2-1 or 5-2. The Ewing is very impressive from the West Point stables. And those two horses are going to lock horns. Hopefully, they'll stay healthy, go on to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Other horses I got to watch out for is Dermatistic. He looked really well winning yesterday. And this horse just really likes being on the flat mile turf. He's really, since he moved from the dirt to the turf, he's much more better. And Miguel Clement has really got a good job training this horse up after taking the stables over his father that passed away, Christophe Clement, who was an excellent horse trainer. And he'll be one of the American entries for the Breeders' Cup Mile, and he'll be an overlay. I don't see him no less than 8-1. And because the Euros are going to take all the money because, of course, they've dominated over the years. And this horse has a good shot to run well. So is Zulu Kingdom, that won the race Friday but got disqualified and put down second. But I looked at the replay. I didn't see that was that bad of a disqualification. But before that, he's won the Penn Mile race, and he's looking really good. And he'll be around about the same 6-8-1. Because of the Breeders' Cup Miles, of the horses, normally the odds are going to be changed between from 4-1 all the way to 20-1. There's not going to be that much of a difference. It's not a really standout horse I could see in the mile race right now, unlike Modern Games that won 3 years ago that was a standout. And those two American horses got an excellent chance to show what they're made of in the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile. Going on to other notes as I go through them right now. Also in the test days, Kilwin and also Ragtime looked really well. I mean, it was, of course, as I explained before, they had the bias. The closer winning that day, but they still look very smart in the way they did it. Especially Kilwin, just like Ewing, broke very tardily out of the gate. It's maybe green. Didn't jump out there, was plethora lengths out, over 10 lengths out, made a terrific ride. He went to the inside, pulled on the outside, and still managed to beat Ragtime. So that is a legit race. So horse you have to look for in the Breeders' Cup. My notes, if I have anything else, nope, that's it right now. Other notes I could probably share with you out of Europe. I haven't seen too much of the Europeans still yet. Only the races, the races I've seen before, the King George V and also the St. James were, as explained before, that Henri Matisse has a good chance to run well after he came in second by Fields of Gold in the St. James. I'm not sure where he's going to be put, either a mile or 1/2. Caladigan is also a number one contender after winning the King George V, beating Rebels Romance. Rebels Romance had a better race than Caladigan. Caladigan ran one of the fastest 3 furlongs in King George's history, but also Rebel Romance was bottled up and didn't get the free wheel that he wanted to get in. He got bottled up on the rail, having the 4th slot, had the inside, got bottled by 4 contenders. So that is a sneaky good race for Rebels Romance, and he likes to ship. So Shipping will not be an issue for Rebels Romance. Caladigan, that shipping from Europe to the United States might be an issue. So, and you might catch a little bit of a better price with Rebel Romance. Unlike last year, he might go up at 3-1. And these are my notes for today that I have all for today. Is going to be August 3rd, 2025. This is James Ramos from At the Quarter Pole, or Winning and History run neck and neck. Have a good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.